Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Michelle from Michelle's Empty Nest, and today we are looking at the next 4 prompts in my Me, Myself, and I project, which I am doing throughout the month of August. And I kind of gave it the subtitle of Having Fun at 51 because this is my birth month. And in fact, by the time you see this video, I will have already turned 51. My birthday is on the 19th. And I am following the prompt list from Heba at my little journal. You can find this on her Pinterest account. She has it there and you can download it. And we are looking at 17, 18, 19, and 20 today. So I've got some inks already selected, most of the materials that I'm going to need ready beside me. And so one of my packets was not even closed today, so we'll talk about that in just a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and get the first spread set up and ready. Let's do it. Okay, I am going to go ahead and pull out everything I need for 17 and 18. I'm showing you I've got a big mess of stuff drawn out there with all kind of notes to get this one put together. So for this page, my favorite color, I was going to go ahead and just get all the strips cut and ready and then put it all together with you on camera. However, I was just sitting there watching another YouTube video, and the next thing I knew, I had started to glue down those strips, and about half of them were already done, so I just went ahead and put the rest of them on. I did put them onto a piece of cardstock. It's just kind of a lightweight cardstock. I knew that would be much easier to get them glued down and spaced out evenly like I wanted them instead of trying to put them straight into the book. So I cut them at about 1.25 inches, maybe closer to an inch, but I had 3/4 of an inch of each strip show until you get up there to the top, and it didn't have 3/4 of an inch left. But that's what I did with those, and they're all Paige Evans papers, mostly from Wonders and Go the Scenic route, but I think I did pull a couple from Fifth and Monaco because I've got some puffy stickers up there from Fifth and Monaco, so I think I pulled a couple of papers as well. And this was just a cut apart sheet, or from the cut apart sheet, so I grabbed it and I thought, well, that kind of worked well since it says love this so much. And I decided to use spun sugar distress ink because it picked up on those lighter shades of pink, especially since this area that I'm putting my number, is much more of a hot pink or a dark pink. And I notice I did put score tape several strips down the middle because this was a little bit of a stiffer piece of paper once I got done with all that adhering. I wanted it to be able to bend and bow with the book without worrying about it popping loose. So then I decided to round those corners with the 1/2 inch side of my corner rounder. And then I decided, why not just go ahead and put it up on some foam tape as well. So I did that, and I filled in that little gap because I don't like to fill a gap or a little gully on things that are stuck up on foam tape. So I had put one little piece on there kind of crooked, and I had to make up for it with that one little cut piece. I was showing you there my little trash ramekin had gotten very, very full. And then here are those Fifth and Monaco puffy stickers that I'm kind of auditioning some of those hearts. And I just decided, no, it didn't need embellishing, that this was enough. So then I'm going to get started on prompt 18, which is favorite music. And for me, 80s music will always have my heart because that is when I was a teenager in high school and, just did most of my growing up. And so that music will always be my favorite. I'll still listen to it every day. But I like all kinds of music. I listen to a little bit of everything. So I picked 10 of my favorite bands and made the little 2 film strip type pieces. And then I typed my journaling. It's very short journaling with the list of the bands there on a piece of cardstock, and then I've got two different colors of basil textured cardstock. One is wisteria. I think that's the lighter shade, and this one right here that's a little darker. I cannot remember the name of it, but I cut it a little bigger so I could just glue my journaling onto the back, and then have the textured side up. And it was still a little fuzzy. I think my trimmer is needing a new blade, so I was trying to get some of that taken care of. And then it's still just a little ruffled feeling right there at the end. So I'll pull over my little mini trimmer and take off just a bit of both ends to make that nice and even. Um, and then this piece I cut down, I think it's about 2¼ by 2¼ to make a pocket. And onto it, I'm going to stamp from the Feed Your Craft playlist stamp set. I'm going to do this cassette tape outline, and I'm looking at my paper to see what I had written down, but I am doing it just in black. It's that's scrapbook.com premium dye ink in black, and so I'm going to do the outline there in the center. And then I will grab the Dusty Concord, which is also what I use for the numbers. I don't think I mentioned that. I stamped the 18 in Dusty Concord and got those fussy cut out. And now I'm grabbing this fill piece, and I'm going to do that in the Dusty Concord Distress ink as well. And I just do one stamp. I don't go back and add another layer of ink. I just kind of like the way it looked a little modelly. And I picked purple because when I think of the 80s, I think of purple. It was a popular color. We had, Prince's Purple Rain, and I had the album in purple vinyl, and I had purple jellies and purple parachute pants and purple Panama Jack shirt, and I don't know. So I wanted to use purple on this page. So now on the front of that journaling tab, I have stamped from the Studio Calico music stamp set. It says turn it up, and so I put it up towards the top so you could still see it when it went inside of the little pocket there. And then listening that I just put there under the 18, it is also from that Studio Calico set. And then the playlist up at the very top is from the Feed Your Craft stamp set, the same one that has the cassette tape on it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my little film strip type photos in place. It was a pretty tight fit on here, so I knew I needed to get them in place first and make sure that everything was working the way I had planned it. So I'm taking just some very thin 1/8 inch score tape because this is a tight little pocket over here, and getting that ready for adhering that to my page. And then as I am kind of working with the little journaling tab, putting it in and out, I think because I have cardstock and basil cardstock, it was a little tough going in, kind of catching on the edge, so I do decide to go ahead and round those corners as well, and it made it a little easier to get in and out. So now I am getting the 18 adhered down just with that Kokuyo roller adhesive. I love it. It's from Amazon. It's my favorite of all the probably 3 or 4 different kinds I've tried so far. So I did just pull back over the scrapbook.com ink to stamp down these two last things. I had been using my black soot distress ink when I was going straight to paper because it had less ghosting when I did a test at the back of another one of these same Heidi Swap storyline chapters albums. But this one was fine. It did not really show up on the next page, so that was good. So those are my thinking fingers that you saw just there, and what I ended up doing was going back and outlining the film strips, and that little piece is not there. You could kind of see it there just a bit, and you'll see it at the end. I just outlined them with a pen because they just seemed like they weren't popping off the page. And then for this one, number 19, this is my morning routine, And I chose some labels from Allie Edwards, and I was showing you there the pen that I used. It's like a more like a marker. I'm not sure if that's her Slick Writer or not, but it works well on these labels. So for the ink on this one, it is weathered wood, and I chose it because it kind of matches that dusty blue color in a couple of the labels. Because to me it's a little more blue than gray. So I get mornings stamped down, and then of course I'm using that same color to do my numbers, and it's still the same Carrie Bradford outnumbered 2 extra large stamp set. This is the fill, and then I also have the outline that I had pre-stamped at the beginning of the project for the whole project. And I get that stamped out. The 9, there was something on that one. It must have had maybe some little yellow tint left to it, because the 9 definitely has more of a green tint than the 1. But it didn't bother me enough to go back and redo it, so I left it as it is. So here are kind of the steps that I go through. I complain about getting up out of the bed, and then I go to the bathroom. I tend to all our pets. I eat my breakfast. Well, actually, I take my meds and then eat my breakfast. I have a little quiet time or devotional. I check my social media, and then I get dressed and ready for the day. If I have to get up and go somewhere early, some of this stuff waits till later, but that is kind of how it works. So I got those laid out, and I started off with the bathroom and kind of went down from there. And so now they're all magically in place. I didn't want you to have to sit through all of that. And then I'm using this stamp set from, it came in with the February 2020 list story kit from Allie Edwards. It wasn't the story stamp, it was just within the kit itself. And it has a couple of versions of each number. So I tried to sort of vary it up. Somehow I still ended up with kind of all the heavyweight numbers down on that left side, but they're still varied, so it's okay. Then this one was a very simple page. I'm just gluing this large picture into place, and I chose Twisted Citron for my ink color. I was trying to kind of pick up that green in the ice cream scoop. And y'all, this one was the first time that a number with a feel or a hole went onto something other than paper. And I did not even think to cut out the inside of the 0, because I hadn't been needing to before. And this one, that's the first thing I see every time I look at this page now, is the fact that 0 stands out so bad. But again, I'm not going back to redo it. So getting those stamped down, there is my husband waving at you. And then I'll get these fussy cut, and then I go ahead and start putting down some Ellie Studio puffy stickers. And I start off just putting yummy. And then once I get the numbers up there, I just felt like I needed a little bit more. And these show up much more in person than they do here as I'm seeing them on screen. But they're like a perfect match. All 3 of those greens were just kind of the perfect match for each other. So I do go back after I get my numbers put in place and add "oh so very" above that. So it says "oh so very yummy." And I also add an exclamation point to kind of finish that one out. So there you see all of that. And that finishes up this part, and I'll be back here to talk to you again in just a second. Okay, y'all, that is where we are calling this one done. So let's look at these 4 prompts again really quickly. I love all of these Paige Evans papers together. To me, she does some of the most beautiful pink papers that I've seen. I just love all of them, and felt no journaling was needed. It was pretty obvious that pink is my favorite color.
And then for 18, for the playlist or for favorite music, I wanted to do a little bit of an interactive bit. So I did my journaling here, and it's very short, just saying that I love music and I like all genres to some extent, but that 80s will always have my heart. That's when I did most of my real growing up, and that's when I was in high school. And so that's what stands out the most, and that's what I still listen to the most even today. So in my little strips that I made, we have Bon Jovi and Journey and Motley Crue and Aerosmith, which technically would have been before the 80s as well. Pearl Jam gets the honorary mention, even though they didn't show up until the 90s, but they are one of my favorite bands, and one of my very favorite songs, Yellow Ledbetter, that they sing. So I had to include them. Then Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, Poison, Duran Duran, and Queen, which would have also been around before the 80s, but that's okay. They were still one of my favorite bands. And it would have been very easy to just keep going. I could name many more that would fall into a favorite category. All right, and then 19, where I just used the labels to write out the steps of kind of what I go through in the mornings when I get up and get ready. Starting off, obviously, with complaining about having to get out of bed. I'd rather just stay there much longer than I get to most of the time. And then prompt 20, my favorite treat. Super simple page. I had taken this picture actually for a Finding Joy in July day in July. And so I thought, well, no need in trying to recreate the wheel. So I just used this same picture, blew it up big. And I decided I would pick up this color of the ice cream scoop and see what I could do to match it. And that twisted citron and these lime green letters ended up matching really well. So I just thought that was a good color to pick up on for this one to be something different. So we will put a close on those days. When I come back to you again, we will be talking about self-care, me time, my favorite person, and my sibling. I have one, and so I will do a page about him when we meet again for another Me, Myself, and I project. So thank you so much for stopping by today. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up below, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.